Welcome back, folks. I'm Frizz, and today I'd like to take some time to talk about the Kineticist class that's going to be releasing later this year. The playtest version of the Kineticist has been out for over half a year already, and I thought now would be a fun time to talk about what to expect from the final version of the class, and any of the hints that have been given out by Paizo since the playtest ended. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Kineticist as a whole, since it's a weird class that not everyone is going to be familiar with. Effectively, the Kineticist is a class that is focused around using elemental magic all day long, though unlike traditional spellcasters, they are very limited in the abilities that they have access to. They are basically a more extreme version of a spontaneous spellcaster, wherein that they only have access to a couple of abilities, but they can basically just use them at will. They aren't a spellcaster though. All of their powers come through their body, not through their mind. Rather than muttering some arcane words and shooting fire at someone, they just hit someone with fire. They're an absolute blast. But anyway, Paizo has said that they're going to be making a fair amount of changes to the Kineticist from the playtest, but what exactly those changes are going to be is unclear. I mean, that should be obvious since, the book isn't out yet, but what we do know a little bit about what sort of lines those changes are going to be on. The first thing to start off with is that I think that burn as a mechanic is most likely not going to be returning from Pathfinder 1e. You can't hurt yourself to get additional power in 2e, and while I do legitimately love burn as a mechanic, I really do understand Paizo's decision, and I support it. They're wanting the Kineticist to be the class for all-day elemental power, and adding a resource to track over the course of a day weakens that class identity. Rather than being an adaptation of the 1e Kineticist into 2e, the 2e Kineticist is a recreation of the class from the ground up conceptually, and I like that more. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be any more mechanics than in the playtest that deal directly with Constitution. Paizo has hinted, and I believe explicitly said, that Kinetic Blast, the most basic form of impulse, will now function more like a cantrip where you get to use your Constitution to attack rather than Strength or Dex. I absolutely adore this change because, well, really, it incentivizes you to increase your Constitution. While having a Strength or Dex-focused Kineticist is a really cool idea, I'm 100% of the belief that if the Kineticist is going to be the only class with Constitution as their key ability score, then it should be by far the most important ability score to the class. Getting Constitution on attack rolls is a great step in the right direction, so you don't have to have a good Strength or Dex to make a good use of your Kinetic Blasts. When it comes to damage though, what we know is a lot less clear about the final version of the class. We do know that Paizo intends to give the Kineticist access to more damage than they had in the playtest, since they were apparently being very conservative with the playtest, which is fair enough, but exactly what form that difference to damage will take, we don't know. Some impulses might get Constitution added to their damage, or they might just do more damage dice. We don't know, but having a higher damage is absolutely going to be nice for the Kineticist, since while they were very consistent damage dealers in the playtest, they didn't pack all that much of a punch, and making a change to that I think is going to make the Kineticist way more fun to play, because you can still do a lot of really cool stuff, but now it is going to be more impactful. That's the fun stuff. One thing that we do know for certain, though, is that what elements a Kineticist will get access to is going to work a little bit different from the playtest. At level 1, every Kineticist is going to choose if they want access to one element or two elements, and at higher levels, we don't know when, but they're going to be able to get access to more of them if they want, but it isn't mandatory like it is in 1e. If you just want to play a specialist in a single element, then you're not forced to diversify, but if you want to play the Avatar, you can absolutely go for that. It always felt a little weird to me in 1e, where if I wanted to play a Kineticist that has access to more than one element, I'd have to wait until level 7, but if I wanted it to be a core part of the character, then it wouldn't show up for a while, and I'd have to find an in-character justification for why they're not using their Earth abilities. So I'm really happy with the way that Paizo's approaching element choices in 2e, and yeah, I just think that it's sick. Outside of that, we don't really know all that much about the Kineticist. We know that it's going to be a huge class that is apparently the largest that Paizo has ever made, and that there's going to be hybrid impulses for all 21 combinations of elements, but that's about it, really. My main wish at this point is that there's going to be impulses related to electricity, or at least more of them, but either way, I am very confident that I'm going to be happy with this class, and I absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on it later this year. Thanks for watching. I basically just decided to make this video because I am now playing a playtest Kineticist in a campaign now, which got the class on my mind. Well, anyway, what do you think about the Kineticist changes that are probably going to be coming to the class? And what is the #1 impulse that you'd like to see for Kineticist just be able to do? Let me know in a comment down below and subscribe or something while you're down there. Regardless, until I see you next, live a wonderful life.